Yeah, I got it. What is up, everyone? And in today's episode, I will be covering the curious case of the QuadrigaCX CEO Gerald Cotton. This case is not a new case, but I just would like to, I've been reading a lot about what has happened in the episodes or the articles that have been published, and I just personally want to put out my opinions and my perspective of how I view the case. Now, there is no conclusive evidence that this was legitimate or an exit scam. But right now, that's not the main thing. The main thing is to share with you how I feel the case or how this could have been handled a little bit better. So maybe let's cover the aspects of running an exchange. So I think when you run, firstly, the exchange was claimed to be licensed, but clearly in this particular article, it is not regulated by the Canadian Securities Watchdog. So they were running an exchange purely, stating that they had the license, but they didn't. But at the time, let's be very honest. I think a lot of the governments did not even have a particular license to run a cryptocurrency or a digital exchange at the time when cryptocurrencies were very, very hot. So this is something to do with the fact that right now, all the exchanges, at least as of now, are planning to have a license either in Malta or in some country that allows crypto to fiat exchange, or at least has a license for digital asset exchange. So we call it crypto to crypto exchanges, just for the layman for this particular episode. So when I saw this, I was thinking to myself, there are a few things that came to my mind, and I mean no disrespect to anybody in this particular video, but I'm just going to be very objective about it. And perhaps maybe as an investor myself, and if I was to be stuck or having my funds stuck in an exchange, I would be asking a few questions. One, if you clearly knew that you have assets under management or AUM of up to $180 million or $145 million, depending on what kind of exchange rate you're using. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You would at least have a few partners or draft up a legal documentation that in the event of your death, right, these people, whether your managing partners, your wife, or at least the law firm, right, will have access to these to the private keys. That way, you can actually split the private key. For example, if you have it in a cold wallet, since it's claimed to be a cold wallet, there's a 24-word passphrase. So you can always keep 12 and you let the law firm keep the other 12. Or you can say you want to keep, so you can keep, let's say, 6 of those words. 6, 12, 18, you let another partner keep another 6 words, you let your wife keep another 6 words, and the law firm another 6 words. So that way, right, no one person can actually come together and collude. Another thing is, prior to him leaving to India to do charitable works and whatnot, which is fine, I think that's always a good thing, especially, but he kind of drafted up the will prior to him leaving. Somehow, that part, why would you even report something like that and publish it across, because the will was personal, right? The will was personal. And right now, the problem with the crypto information sites that we are used to seeing, whether is it Cointelegraph, whether is it CCN or whatever, it's very hard to validate whether these sites are just picking it up as a hot story or they were actually paid for the article. Actually, nobody knows, and we will never know. Okay, so right now the news was meant to make us all believe that this person has passed away, and right now everyone who has used the exchange cannot retrieve their funds because there's no way to retrieve, because the sole person who has access to the cold wallet is the person who is deceased at the moment, which is Gerald Cotton. So the wife obviously will say she has no no access, and she has no way to access and people are trying to hack into the laptop. Okay, that's just causing a lot of angst. Okay, that's just causing a lot of angst, and people are now concerned. So even if someone did manage to hack into his laptop, find his login password and hack into his laptop, and hopefully they find the password, perhaps they can retrieve the funding, so on and so forth, right? But let me just share the harsh reality of things. Since it is a non-licensed exchange and it's a digital asset, there's no way that the Canadian government is going to help the people who have participated in an unlicensed exchange. It is very unlikely, okay? I may be wrong, but it's highly unlikely. The second thing, when you are running an exchange, at that point of time, right now, there are very, very few exchanges or insurance companies that are willing to insure an exchange for a digital asset, because it is very, very hard and it's very hard to validate the risk involved. In fact, trading in digital assets in itself is generally high risk, because a lot of factors can happen. A code could go wrong and hang the whole system. I know we all know who has done that before. A single code can go wrong, and then the coins will all just be stuck on a chain. Someone can create a phishing site of the exchange and compromise the whole site. Someone could hack it from internally, or hack the main server system that is housing all the coins, housing all the wallets. A lot of things can happen. The CEO could be robbed of the digital exchange wallet. A lot of things can happen. So all these scenarios, right, are playing out in my head, and as I'm looking at this, right, I'm just wondering, when he passed away, okay, so in this article, right, okay, look guys, it doesn't matter what article I'm showing you. I'm not giving I cannot give much credit to all these crypto websites at the moment, because we don't have a main prominent one. Sure, you may say, oh, let's look at NewsBTC, Bitcoin.com, let's look at Cointelegraph, let's look at CCN. I'm not promoting any of them, because right now it is very hard, and my main gist of this episode is how do we validate the information. And I want to make a I want to apologize first before I comment on this. I do not want to disrespect anybody, and I understand that a death is very, very private. But I want to highlight a few things. Firstly, now you must be thinking, why am I showing you an individual that died or passed away in our country, Singapore? Now, Aloysius Pang is an actor in Singapore, okay? He died because he was doing a training exercise in New Zealand. So when that happened, right, not everybody was invited to the funeral, okay? But there was at least proof of the funeral procession that was going on. Now, obviously, a death is very, very private. It need not be open to the public. But in this case, because he was an actor, I guess the family opened up to friends and family and fans of this particular individual. Now, I'm not saying that that Gerald Cotton and his family should have done that. But I think it provides a lot of closure and shuts down any kind of skepticism that this whole thing was an exit scam. Because right now the certificate had a error in the name spelling. Okay, one thing, the certificate had an error in the name spelling. I think Cotton was spelled as Cotton, right? And to me, I think that if you were to get a certificate in India, I'm sorry to say this, but there are a lot of fake things that come from India. You can falsify you being a lawyer. That means you can falsify education certificates. You can falsify death certificates. And yes, I think we have seen that before. It is very easy to do. And the fact that he went there, and if he was already having all these conditions, why would you go to a place, right, that has very, very low hygiene standards. Okay, I'm sorry to say this, but wherever he was going, I'm sure it was to do charitable work. And when you do charitable work, usually the hygiene standards are not very good. If he was already diagnosed with the having watery stools, vomiting, and all these things might have happened during the trip, right? And that was something that accelerated his condition and of course caused his death. Okay, sure. Now the next thing is you're going to have to ship the body back, and at that point of time, your country will have to validate the death of this particular individual. Now, this is all still under investigation, and it jolly well be, because if I'm an investor, right, or I'm a trader that has put my money into this, I want to at least have the peace of mind that truly this is what happened, and truly this individual really did die, because the family at least could at least film that the fact that a funeral did take place. I'm sorry to say this, but this is something that's very huge. It's $180 million. You can't just let it slide and say, oh, okay, because it's a death. It's a death. Let us respect the family and let it be more private. In this circumstance, because I would say that when you are running funds and you are considered a public figure, the fact that his face is there, right, and they're willing to put his face, right, means that, okay, he's considered a public figure already because he runs a popular Canadian exchange. Why is there no proof that a funeral took place? And everyone is wondering, did he really die? And was the body really shipped back? And if it was, okay, then hopefully the country that gave the chop that this person really did die. And the next thing, you want to check whether there are any insurance claims. Because as a high net worth individual, I would definitely have some insurance, okay? And if there is an insurance payout, it just goes to show that yes, Gerald Cotton did pass away from the condition stated. And yeah, there's no doubt about it. He really did die. Case closed. It's very unfortunate that really there's no way to access the tokens, right? It's a very unfortunate event. But at least there's some closure to the fact that the wife is now getting a lot of threats from investors, right? And that is a very stressful thing for the wife. I mean, if anything were to happen to me, okay, if anything were to happen to me, and my wife was going to take the brunt of it, okay, I would never let that happen. And hence, I have always made sure that I have written out a will. Everything is drafted out properly. And for any kinds of investments or funds or whatever, especially company funds, right, my other partners are going to have access to it. So I'm just saying that these are things that people don't consider only when something bad happens. And in this case, truly something bad did happen to this individual. Now, the only thing is, I'm wondering, did he really pass away? Where's the proof of the body that it really was cremated or buried? Was there an actual funeral procession? And at the same time, if, okay, there was, then as long as there was a proper insurance payout and the family can actually validate this and show proof that, okay, this was what was paid out. I know that it's very sensitive because the payout is going to put the wife in a certain position and it can be very dangerous for her. So maybe there should be a way that the law firm or the insurance company that is giving the payout can come out with a letter and says, yes, this payout is genuine, and I'm sure that it's a licensed insurance agent or a licensed insurance company and it's recognized in Canada, can say, yes, this payout or proceeds were truly paid out to this particular individual because the underwriters from insurance companies are actually very professional. Okay, they cannot falsify their reports, and they will definitely do their due diligence before they pay out for someone's death. Okay, and that is something that it can add a higher level of assurance to the existing investors. So these are things that I guess either the company can take, the investors can start investors or traders who have their funds stuck can start asking these questions. Then of course, as the wife, I think of Gerald Cotton, I think it's only right that you have to allay the concerns of the investors, because right now, if he's hiding somewhere, let's just assume, okay, that he's hiding somewhere, the body was, falsified or whatever. All these things can be done, guys. When you have money, you'd be surprised how much people will go to an extent to hide their wealth. And apparently, right, there are reports, once again, whether true or not, that the funds were being used to buy properties around the world. Now, all these things are natural, right? Are natural and usually would happen. When you make some money, apparently I think the couple doesn't have any kids other than 2 chihuahuas. So it's very, it just doesn't really sit well with me. Somehow I just wanted to talk about it. I'm not someone who covers these kind of news all the time. As you know, my channel is very, very focused on just helping people get rich through investing and trading in cryptocurrencies and educating them about Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies and blockchain, right? But somehow this kind of didn't sit well with me, and I just wanted to put out my thoughts on this. And like I said, I mean no disrespect, but right now our space has a lot of news sites, has a lot of information that's floating around in forums, and it's very hard to tell whether it's true or not, okay? And so we cannot take everything too lightly and on face value. So I just wanted to cover all that, and I thank you guys for watching. If you have any comments about your thoughts on this particular case, or there's some conclusion that we truly could not find in this particular episode, please feel free to link it in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to update this episode with more conclusive evidence that all these things took place, to allay the concerns of the QuadrigaCX investors or people who have had their funds stuck in QuadrigaCX. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next episode.